Hey y'all. I've been asked a time or two, what did I do to get pregnant at 41? And yeah, I was an old bird, got pregnant at 41 naturally. I was in the process of preparing for my first round of IVF and just prepping. I was actually going to spend 3 months prepping my ovaries, trying to get the best quality eggs that I could possibly get. So I happened to get pregnant a few days later after the fertility specialist, my husband and I decided that we were going to start IVF. But the question is, what was I doing at the time that I got pregnant? So I have been taking two things besides like a regular, actually, I've been taking Whole Foods prenatal vitamins forever. They're vegetarian, they're prenatals, they're good. They do have iron, but you can take whatever prenatal that fits into your regimen that does well for you, that has the things in it that you want. This was just the brand that I chose, and they were super cost effective. So that's what I did was Whole Foods. But I have been taking two other supplements besides like vitamin D, things that you take anyway. Like I take vitamin D and vitamin C every day. And at that time too, you know what? This is important. I was taking 5,000 milligrams of vitamin D every day, probably to the extent where doctors keep telling me to stop taking it. However, the research shows that when you're on the higher end of the spectrum of vitamin D, that your results are always better for your egg health. So you have better quality embryos. If you're trying to look at IVF, it'll be a little bit easier for you to get pregnant naturally if you're in the higher spectrum of the vitamin D range. So that's what I had done. I had taken 5,000 milligrams of vitamin D every day. I was taking a prenatal. And then I was taking, of course, vitamin C, vitamin D, which, like I said, I take that every day anyway. But the two things that I took every day in order to help me get pregnant, one, I was taking Qunol. This is the 200 milligram. This is Ubiquinol. And y'all, this is not a paid advertisement. I'm really telling you what I was taking. I was taking 200 milligrams of CoQ10, which is the Ubiquinol formula is Kaneka. Let me see. It's the Kaneka Ubiquinol. But this, it absorbs a little bit better than regular CoQ10. So I was taking three of these. I was taking 600 milligrams a day when I got pregnant, naturally. I'll show you what they look like. I haven't taken one today, but they're just a red pill. And the Ubiquinol formula should always be a nice, deep red pill. Or it's not a pill, but a soft gel. But I was taking three of these a day. 600 is pretty good for 41. That's about where I should be. Maybe some might say a little bit less, but I've seen anywhere between 400 and 800. Actually, in certain studies, I've seen up to 1,200 milligrams of this a day. I still take 600 of these a day, but this is what I take. I was taking at 41 when I got pregnant naturally. The other thing that is like the miracle drug is DHEA. This is a life extension product. I'm really big on life extension and Jarrow. Life extension and Jarrow have really good products. I know they're quality made. So they also cost a little bit more than the other brands. But I believe at the time I was taking 100 milligrams a day, which is a little bit on the high side. A fertility specialist likely would tell you to take 25 milligrams 3 times a day. But DHEA is like a wonder drug for women that are getting older, or if you're in the primary ovarian reserve, if your function has kind of fallen off, if you've gotten your AMH tested and it's not great, the DHEA goes after your androgens. Lord, y'all, I'm not going to explain this to you because I am not a chemist. I am not a scientist, and I am not a doctor. So I won't try to explain it to you, but I've done a lot of reading about it. Basically, where DHEA when it became kind of standardized for fertility specialists to say, hey, take this, because in the US it's completely over the counter. There is no prescription for it, not like it is in other countries. But here, there was a woman who every month she was taking DHEA. The doctors didn't know what she was doing, but she had done her own research. And she had found out that DHEA would help her egg health. Not sure how. She's a genius. They don't disclose her name. Whoever you are, thank you. But she had taken DHEA and she had ended up having 9 cycles. The first cycle, I don't think she had any embryos survive. By the 9th cycle, she had, I believe, 16 embryos. So that's amazing. 16 embryos is the same as a 20-year-old. And I believe she was 43, 42, 43, somewhere in there. But that's what a 20-year-old would have, is 16 embryos. But she ended up kind of being a trailblazer for the study of DHEA in the US. From everything that I've read, is that this woman who she's a genius in my book, but she was the one who made fertility specialists start looking into DHEA, because she had done her own research and found out that this worked, and it does. So I have been taking DHEA for months, and they had even found that my DHEA was a little high. So my fertility specialist at the time told me to stop taking it. Again, DHEA is one of the things, kind of like vitamin D, when you're on the higher end of the spectrum, you tend to have better results. So your egg quality may be better, or your chances of being pregnant will be a little bit better. So with DHEA, I would always say you would still want to get your DHEA-S and your testosterone tested with your doctor. It's a blood test. So you would want to get it tested to see where you are on the spectrum, where the range is. But I probably would still shoot to go a little bit towards the higher end instead of the mid-range, especially when you're over 38-ish. But that's my personal opinion. The research does show that if you're on a little bit on the higher end, you'll do a little bit better. You can also read a lot about what you can do for egg health in It Starts with the Egg by Rebecca Fett. At that time, I had not read the book. It was just reading that I'd done to determine that these two things were probably going to get me to baby. And I would also like to note that at that time, on day 2 of my cycle, the month I got pregnant, I had a PRP done, which is when they take your blood. They do PRP for other things, not necessarily. It's kind of new when you're talking about for ovarian rejuvenation. But they take your blood, like a blood draw, but it's a lot of blood. It's a few tubes of blood. They put it in a centrifuge, and then it brings like the stem cells to the top, and they inject them where they need to go. So if you have a bad knee, you might have a PRP injection in your knee. You might have a facial that is PRP by a specialized facial esthetician rather. But you may have had a PRP injection somewhere. I've had PRP injections in my ovaries a few times, probably, I would say 3 times probably. That time it was an injection. It was like an ovarian wash. So it was kind of done like a saline sonogram. It probably was done with a saline sonogram actually, but it was a saline sonogram. And then they did the PRP wash on my ovaries. So I can't say that that is what got me pregnant. I don't know. I do know that statistically, DHEA and Ubiquinol or CoQ10 definitely get you the results that you need with your ovarian health. Get you a little bit closer to baby. So I'll share a little bit more about what I'm doing now in order to still have my AMH is low now. It was low when I was 41, but it's a little teeny bit lower now. But the thing that I'm most concerned about is with making sure that I'm still ovulating regularly, and two, to make sure that whatever that I can do to have the best egg health possible, that's what I'm doing. So in my next video, I'll talk a little bit more about why I take specifically like ubiquinol or CoQ10 and how it goes after the mitochondria of your egg. Because you need to we always have to be thinking about the mitochondria of your egg. You don't have to think about it, but you need to do things to make it better. Okay, that's it for now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.